Okay, I want to talk about my time, like with this coding farm. Uh, so it was during the pandemic. I got I don't know, I got a stupid certification for Java in my extension some university, and I guess it looked good enough to where I applied to beginning entry level software jobs and Indeed. And this company had a bunch of them, like in every city: San Diego, LA, San Francisco, like Seattle, like all over the West Coast. So I applied. There was an interview process. It was very basic. It was um, object oriented things, like what are the four pillars of object oriented programming, some SQL questions, maybe like how to code in HTML, maybe like basic things, right? That everybody pretty much knows. And they had oh, they had a yeah, they have like an assessment in the window. So if you get out, you get marked as cheated. You get that you're cheating, and your applications gets thrown out. So I might have like a virtual computer running in another computer, so I could literally just open a tab and look at everything in my other. That's a good way to cheat in assessments and for interviews. And honestly, some of those questions are freaking hard, and it's like a four tables in SQL, and you have to get data from different tables, and it's this huge thing, and it's just you don't have the time, but it's kind of dumb, and that's why I did it, whatever. And I guess I got a good score. I did an interview on at the webcam, and they were good enough to pick me up. And then I started training during the winter, and it was 3 months or 4 months, and maybe it's a little bit short for other people. And we the hardest part was the first project. So for the first project, you work alone, and because you work alone, they can see how you're doing, or how to, if you're not cut for it, or you show weakness, they'll cut you right there. So, and some people do leave left from the first project. Maybe their project didn't work, or they didn't have time. But if they didn't have time, they would just cut right away. So after the first project, they would put us in groups, and it was easier for us and for other people too, because you didn't have to do as much work, right? And I think there wasn't much attrition till the end, till the very last project. I think they just picked people that didn't do so hot on the last assessment. So for the last assessment, yeah, we did the last project. So the further you get, the more people work on the project, the bigger the group gets. So first you're alone, then maybe 3 people. The next one's 10. Then the last one's half class, right? And it was messaging through it was sending messages through this centralized thing, like a server, and then getting out other message. And I didn't do so hot on the interview questions, the fake job interview questions at the end. I think my Wi-Fi went out, and then my curse crap, and that was the end of me. Kind of, almost. I got ran up, and then they picked their best from the class, the bottom half, the top half, or yeah, the top half they'll pick. And I didn't make that cut. I didn't they'll get them right away, like 2 weeks after training is done. They'll they're out of there. Then if you're not good enough for that, then you either put you in staging, and you just hang out and not do anything, and work on yourself, and you get paid for for the week, but everybody was like, I knew like I was gonna get fired soon. Like they would talk to somebody in their meeting. You have to go to like daily stand-up, and it's a pain in the ass. And they're like, make sure when you tell you move, you're gonna move, okay? And like that's a whole hour. And like watching like it's a waste of time. Like watching like a video on YouTube, like Fireship or something, whatever cool thing they think it is. And supposedly like the manager all like coders and all this crap, but they're not, right? Yeah, that lasted like the whole thing lasted almost a year, like 9 months. And they put me like some training, some weird niche thing that in like maybe like Salesforce. They had a bunch of people in Salesforce, and they probably made money getting people certified and then like shipping them out to consulting, right? It's not really programming, but it's like a niche and it's like related, and I guess it pays the bills, right? And right now this company doesn't have like the listens. I don't think they're hiring at that capacity that they were, and they're not doing like paid projects. Like they're not doing paid training. They're trying to minimize that, and the people that were in when I was getting paid were like people like in Mississippi, Missouri, like where like the minimum wage is like $7. That is what they would pay them. And there were like one or two people from like California or New York where like they had to pay like $20 or like triple while they're paying somebody else. So if you live in those areas, make sure that you have to be like kind of special, or that you have to be like have a good resume. And they also like young people. They like fresh out of college. Like if you're a little bit older, like tough shit, you know. And you know that was my. I think I got fired. I think I like we were working on the project, and at the end I was just like, that guy's not doing anything. I was just like being a pain in the neck, or being like so and so didn't do anything, and I was just like complaining about everybody, and they had enough of me, and they just let me go, right? Because he looked at like how long I've been without like a job, like interview, and then like deny me. And the interview process was very weird too. It was like, yeah, I want to talk about that. Oh, the interview process. It's usually like, it was a Zoom call. So there's me, supposed to be the customer, so like maybe like somebody, and then there's like 4 other people, and this other 4 people, like I have no idea who they are. I don't know, like I never heard of them. Supposedly they're like on their side, and they're like on your side, and it was not clear who they are. They were all Indian. It was like, I don't know if they were like the managers of the project they're working on, or like supposedly another 2 of them were like on my side, or I had no fucking clue what's happening. Right? It's just like weird. And like their client didn't know anything about programming, so they would answer questions. They would like get an Indian to ask me questions, like technical questions, and they just made it look like I didn't know what I was talking about. They were just like picking at me, like, hey, tell us about multi-threading, and then like they would just look at a little thing I said wrong. They would be like, that's wrong, like that's not how it works, and they just made me feel like they were just like out to get you, kind of, you know. And like I said something about like the multi-threading somehow related to like the CPU cores, and they were like, no, that's completely wrong, has nothing to do with it. And it's like, what do you want me to say after that? And looking back, it does have something to do with it, but the reaction is just like, oh, you like blew it like that. And I didn't feel that way. I feel like they were just like, that's how they were like trying to present things, right? So I didn't feel like they gave me a fair chance in that regard. And I think they might have been a little bit racist, honestly. Like they should like white people and Indian. That's about it when it comes to software, right? And yeah, never working with that company again. Even like other YouTube videos, like they're like, you racist, like they just go off in a rant, and I seen them, and I do believe it. I think they got sued for like oh, you cannot sue them, like there was somebody like had a disability, and they were like, because I gave him a hard. Let me get my fucking keys in. There's fucking somebody back there. Yeah, there was somebody. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it here. Still put a little bit. Yeah, I ended up getting like fired because like we were gonna. The last thing we did was like work on projects, and for those projects we like. It was very like, I think it was called APN, and it was fucking weird. It was just like you drag and drop something in passive values and like open a new page, and like it was like it wasn't programming, right? It was like, here, set the values. They would say, Java. Since you know Java, you know programming, so you can program on this. But it never happened. It was just a lie. It was like drag and drop, get the certification. I didn't want to pay like $300 for a certification. I was like, fuck this. I know I'm not gonna get hired. And if I got hired, I don't want to move to like DC and work for this company. So I didn't get the certification. They just fired me, and then that was it. And yeah, for my next thing, I want to learn like things I want to learn. Like I want to learn like Compose, like Android and React Native, and I want to be able to like do a startup or like do like like the Founders Institute or YC Combinator. Once I get like a project going and updated to the store, and maybe I can get some users or like get some traction there. So that's my plan. Yeah. Also getting like a certification in teaching too in the morning. I just need 3 more months. I'm done with it. So we'll see what happens. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.